Won't give you too much of a spiel around App Annie, but the idea today is to share some insights around mobile and the importance of it as it relates to winning customers. So we'll sort of dive right in. First thing around, why is mobile so important as part of your digital strategy? The first question we need to ask ourselves is, how many apps do you think you use in a given day, week, or month? Right? When you ask this question, do you use less than 10? Do you use 20? Do you use 50? It's important to think about sort of everything that mobile really touches. So if we walk through a day in the life of me, for example, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll turn off my alarm app, I'll book a workout class in ClassPass. After working out, I'll go grab a coffee, I'll pay with my Starbucks app. And then as I'm getting ready for work, I'll probably listen to something on Spotify. Once I'm at work, I'm going to use a plethora of different business and productivity apps: Outlook, Slack, DocuSend, DocSign, Outlook, Dropbox, et cetera. As I'm going through the day, I'll probably check my news apps. I'll probably, at some point, open social media, see who's in my DMs. As the workday progresses, I'll probably order some food through Seamless or Grubhub. You begin to see the picture, right? After work, make dinner reservations on OpenTable or Yelp. Maybe see a show on Ticketmaster. Am I doing that? OK, I don't know where I came from. But that's just the scope of one day, right? That's 10 to 15 different apps. And if you think about over the course of a month, all the other things that you'll do on a monthly habituation cycle, banking apps, travel and planning, United Airlines, for example, right? There's a host of different things. And that's why it comes as no surprise that on average, we use anywhere from 30 to 39 different apps in a given month. Right? In the US, we use about 35. In Canada, a little higher, around 36. And we have roughly over 100 apps installed on our phones at any given point. Just let that sink in for a second, right? Think about how much real estate there is on a phone, how much time you have in a day, and yet we still find time to use 35 different apps every single month. And that's why mobile is so indispensable to our business. Here in Canada, people spend roughly 3 hours every single day on their mobile devices. Right? In the US, it's a little bit lower, and in some Southeast Asian markets, you see it's even higher. If you think about 3 hours a day, just sort of back that out, right? I'm awake, 15, 16 hours out of the day. So 3 hours is anywhere from 18 to 20% out of my day, out of my week, out of my life on a mobile device. Right? Obviously, it's snackable, it's bits and pieces, but it just underscores how important mobile is to your overall strategy. And if we think about how that time is split across app versus mobile web, right, the split is roughly 10 to 90, right? 10% of time spent is on mobile web, and the other 90% is in mobile app. But it's important to consider both aspects because from a marketing funnel perspective, right, it's all part of a harmonious strategy, right? You think about mobile web as sort of top of the funnel, broad awareness. Once the consumer is familiar with your brand or offering, they're likely going to download the app. And then they'll sort of toggle between the app and the mobile website as they ultimately, in offline channels, as they ultimately reach a purchase decision and any sort of ongoing loyalty CRM. So that's high level around why mobile is important, sort of digging into some competitive insights, getting deeper into what App Annie can provide from a marketplace perspective. Right? In beginning of this year, first half of this year, consumers downloaded roughly 230,000 apps per minute. Right? So demand is still there. Even if you think, if you're in gaming, that growth is slowing, if you're in social media, you see that in general, sort of this market saturation. As mobile eats more and more of the world, right, more industries are getting into mobile. You think food and drink, you think shopping, you think health and fitness, you think medical, right? There's an ongoing demand as more and more of what was done offline moves onto mobile apps. If we want to give a clear example for why mobile is so important for your business, we did at App Annie, we did a quick correlation analysis of time spent in apps relative to digital sales. I don't know how many statisticians are out there, but this is a pretty clear relationship, an R of 0.97 that shows a very strong positive relationship between how much time people spend in mobile apps and how much money they spend shopping digitally. Regardless of whether it's happening, mobile is an important piece of the purchase funnel. And how mobile is able to do that is because it's available all the time. If you think about traditional shopping, like a Black Friday, everyone's seen the Walmart videos or been a part of the videos where you're fighting with someone's mom over a TV, right? That sort of physical encounter doesn't have to happen when you have a mobile device. And so the ability to sort of be in your palm at all times has really driven the rise of sort of dedicated shopping events that occur. And where this is really seeing the charge being led is in Southeast Asia. Right, so I don't know how many people are familiar with Alibaba. They have a very popular Singles Day It happens on 11/11 every year. And what you can see is it drives double-digit growth in the number of sessions and opens for mobile apps in Southeast Asia. And so the success of it has actually spawned a number of separate shopping events. There's now an event on 12/12, and an event on 9/9, and also an event on Ramadan in Indonesia. And generally, you'll see an uplift anywhere from 20 to 40% in the number of sessions from a shopping perspective in these markets. So this is really important data for growth marketers as you build a business case around customer engagement and acquisition, specifically as it relates to promotions as well as seasonal events. Why is this important? Well, so this slide is really interesting because it tells two stories. We think about Generation Z as the generation of folks who are 24 and younger, right? So my sister's age and younger, folks who grew up with mobile as their main viewpoint into the world. The way that we think about it is they define their world order through mobile. And what that means is they actually spend 20% more time in apps than games, and they spend 30% more than folks who are 25 plus. Right? So if you think about what that means, if they're spending less time in games and more time in apps, it means they're moving more of the utility, more of their day-to-day, less of their leisure into their mobile apps. So everything that you do outside of gaming within your mobile device, banking, shopping, travel, health and fitness, et cetera, that's how Generation Z is using their devices. And they're the next generation of consumer. So to dig into some specific industry-level insights, at App Annie, we provide a lot of performance data. Insights into app downloads, active users, time spent, demographics, retention, et cetera. But we also have a lot of insight around qualitative metrics such as user sentiment. And so one of the really important things to think about is, as a product or a growth marketer, what are the main value drivers for your offering? What do customers actually love about it? And so, this example here, we're looking at Chime. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Chime, but they're one of the largest mobile banking innovators in the US. They compete heavily with MoneyLion, with Dave, and obviously all the existing retail banks at targeting the next wave of sort of bank cord cutters in a sense, right? So they offer 2-day early direct deposits. They offer a program that automatically deposits 10% of your paycheck into a savings account. And they sort of position themselves as a digital sort of financial literacy partner for the Generation Z, who may not be as financially savvy as folks in an older generation. And they've grown their user base roughly 3 times in the past year. And so what you can see here is, just by a quick analysis of the reviews left on the app, that most people love the fact that they offer savings, they offer early deposits, and they also rank really highly for any reviews that include fees. So they also have a huge promotion around the fact that they don't offer any of the traditional banking fees like maintaining a minimum checking balance and et cetera. And so this is a good way for product marketers, for growth marketers to understand what's our core value prop, what do customers actually care about enough that they will go and write reviews, and how does that impact performance? Switching industries, this is looking at food delivery. I'm sure everyone in the space understands how competitive food delivery is. Earlier this year, DoorDash actually surpassed Uber Eats in terms of active users in the US. And what you can see here is that the race to acquire a user never ends, right? You can never fully acquire a user within the food delivery space. If you take a look at the data, what this shows is that 30% of DoorDash users also use Uber Eats. Nearly 30% of them also use Grubhub, and over 20% use Postmates. So at any given time, if you're a food delivery orderer, you're likely going to be price sensitive, and there are a lot of variables that are outside of the control of the platforms, such as if your food arrives late, if the guy for some reason on Postmates picks it up on foot and takes 45 minutes to get there, and the food's cold, the food quality suffers. A lot of things that make the user at risk for substitution, and it's only one tap away. And this is an interesting trend, and one of the key data points that can fuel a decision like Uber to launch a rewards program that goes across their ride sharing as well as food delivery platform, right? I'm not sure how many people use Uber Rewards, but the more rides you take, the more food orders that you order, you can then use those credits across both platforms. So they're really thinking about this strategically and building a platform to offer incentivized rewards that no one else can do, right? DoorDash doesn't have rideshare, Postmates doesn't have rideshare. And so this key data point is one of the driving factors that may say, hey, we need some way to box out our competitors. What can we do that no one else can? So that was a quick summary. Hopefully that was pretty brief. Again, just a quick 30-second around what we do. what we do is we provide industry measurement around mobile apps and now mobile web as well. We're the industry standard when it comes to understanding all of the performance data that goes into every stage of the app lifecycle. Whether you're looking to discover, whether you're in the midst of building your app strategy, whether you need to grow your user base and acquire, if you need to ongoing and engage your users, ultimately want to monetize them, whether it's through the in-app or through some sort of off-app conversion, App Annie is here to partner with you on every step of that path, offering you the insights, the support, and ability to ultimately drive your app strategy. We work with 1,100 enterprise customers over the globe. I've been at App Annie for 5.5 years, so it's been really interesting to see the evolution of us from sort of being a household name within the gaming ecosystem to now working with companies as diverse as insurance, airlines, food and drink, medical apps, et cetera. And we have the privilege of working with some of the most recognized names in the industry. Just to recap, state of mobile for last year, nearly 200 billion app downloads, $101 billion in worldwide app consumer spend. Again, we are spending 20% of our day in our mobile devices. Interesting stat, hopefully one that works out for us, is the IPO valuation for a company with mobile as a core focus was 360% higher than companies without. And then lastly, again, for the future of consumers, 30% higher engagement in non-gaming apps for Generation Z versus older demographics.